It's 8 o'clock in Boise, 9 o'clock now in Salt Lake City, the site of next year's EXPCon, 11 o'clock over in Raleigh, North Carolina. This here is the Big Agent Meeting for December 5th. I'm Ian Wheatley, coming your way worldwide from the broadcast headquarters of KGCI Real Estate On Air, where looking out my window right about now, it's looking a lot, I'd like to say it looks like a snow globe, but if I'm being honest with you, it looks a whole heck of a lot more like the intro to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Russ Lagan's going to be back with us next week. I have to admit, this is a welcome reprieve from the otherwise blue skies and sunshine that just comes with business planning at the end of the year. But be honest, have you quietly or maybe loudly said to yourself, well, maybe if this year there wasn't a bunch of stuff smacking into a fan, I could have actually made a plan that I could have stuck to? Well, all this month here at the Big Agent Meeting, we are committed to making sure that you can do that, because let's be honest, there's always something. And if you want your plan to survive that first headwind, much less all of the ones that come in 2026, make sure that you don't just stick around through the end of this Big Agent Meeting, but you're coming back over the next couple of weeks. Because coming up on just the show this morning, there was a change to the SOP, and it can actually set you apart from every other agent in your market. Holly Mabery has her update in her brokerage brief coming up in less than a minute. Solo agents don't need massive teams to be top producers. Your CEO, Leo Pareja, continues his conversations with some of eXp Realty's best to uncover what is working for agents in the here and now, especially those top producers. And if you don't know the first thing about business planning, I will tell you the one thing that I think that you could do to make 2026 better than the rest. But right now, the new month brought with it some changes. Let's check in now with Holly Mabery for a brokerage brief.
I love December. It's one of my favorite times of year, not just the holidays and the cookies and all that kind of stuff, but really it's resetting that power of focus and intention. And as we look at the next couple of weeks together, I want to give you a few tips and tricks as we look to 2026. And mainly because 2026, I really want to empower you. It is going to be the year of the listing. When we look at everything that has happened over the last 2 years and really surviving this flat market over the last 3, it's really important that you and I start to take a look at listings, and we start to take a look at sellers and how we communicate with them. There's a couple of things as we go forward that become really important. And first and foremost, it's of course all about the listing, but the strategies that we employ right now, the conversations and the intention that we put forward in everything that we do. If you're going to an ugly sweater party, awesome. Have the conversation about what 2026 looks like. And really, I want to set you all up for success. Days on market is increasing. Okay, no big deal until you've got your house on the market. And this is where sellers are getting a little itchy scratchy. They're used to hearing from the media over the last couple of years, hey, on the market, multiple offers, only a day, sold in 24 hours, all of those types of things. That is gone. What we're likely going to see closer to 30 to 45, maybe in upwards of 90 days, depending on price point. The other thing I want you to help sellers understand is the buyer mindset and discernment is much higher. Buyers are thoughtfully going through each house and they're looking at it to live in, not for the next 3 or 5 years. They're looking at it for 11, 12, 13 years, because the average buyer, according to the NAR Home Buyer and Seller Survey, staying much, much longer in their homes. Then finally, online equals showtime. It's interesting. I personally didn't think I was in the market, but I'm actually under contract on a house myself. We ended up with a house that had been on the market earlier this year, did not sell, ended up selling to an investor because the photos just didn't tell the story. And then even still, when we went out and looked at the house, what was so interesting, and I did this to my spouse, I had 3 houses we were going to look at. The one that I thought would work best for us, another one that was brand new construction, and then one that was older, dated, wasn't quite sure it would work, but on paper it looked okay. Well, we went to the first one, which I thought we would like, walked through it, and I was told, hey, it's a little too dark. Okay, great. We went to the second one, new construction, light and bright, everything. But what was so good is I walked into the backyard and it was like, all of this, we get to landscape, and it's going to be a lot of money. That house we just came from, fully fenced, all landscaped, everything is there. And this is a whole lot more of than what we just came from. And then I went to the last house. The last house was better online than it was in person. It was kind of scary. So we didn't even get out of the car. Now, what was interesting is I pulled the ultimate move and I went back to the first house. What was so great is we walked through the house. I had all the lights on, and then we walked out onto the back patio and we saw the full moon rising. Guess which house we bought? Now, this is what's so important. If I had just sent all those photos online and said, okay, pick one, we would have ended up with the wrong house. It was so important to be in the space, understand it, go back multiple times, and really live it. But this is the thing. Some buyers, they're still moving interstate. They're buying without physically seeing the property. So online is showtime, and your sellers have to be super ready. So now I'm putting the shoe on the other foot. I'm getting ready to list my house. I'm going to have it completely empty. I'm getting the tile steam cleaned. I'm doing all of these extra things so that when photos happen, hopefully we're as ready for showtime as possible. But this is what I want to impart to you. Buyers are discerning and different. They are negotiating heavily on everything, not just price, but on terms and conditions. And so as we set people up for success, it's really important. And I love this slide from the National Association of Realtors. Dr. Yun presented it last month at NAR NXT. What was interesting in looking at it, see all those red arrows? Prices are coming down. Things are softening a little bit. This is a negotiating strategy. So, okay, yeah, I'm seeing a whole lot in the upper Northeast, but those were the states that were the most locked down during COVID. We also are seeing a lot of people going back to work in those areas, and they're not able to commute or telecommute. They have to be in office. So those changes are happening rapidly. But this is the thing that I want you to kind of internalize. When you're going to price a property for a seller, that 0 to 14 days on market is awesome. But look at how close to perfect you need to be. You need to be within about 4 to 5% of where you think you're going to sell. That's not much room for margin of error. But when you think about the longer you're on the market, you're starting to drop that price. Look at the price reduction from list price to contract. Now, okay, pretty close, but the minute I hit 15 to 30 days, I'm at 5%. But price reduction from list price to closing, that jumps to 6.1. Y'all, this slide is one of my favorites, and this is one for you to take a screenshot of, mainly because at the longer you're on the market, the buyers are not only hitting you on price to negotiate the sale, but then they are coming back and asking for concessions. They're asking for repairs. They're asking for all of these things in addition to. We've got a lot of sellers who bought and really haven't taken care of their property. Maybe they've just gotten by with the roof, or maybe they've got, that wobbly toilet or squeaky, doors, all of those things. Buyers are coming in, and again, very discerning. They've got lots to choose from, and they're not afraid to walk away during that inspection period. So look at that 90 to 120 days, 8% down between list and under contract, 10% when they go from contract to close. That's fantastic to know. And these are part of the conversations I want you to have. Again, going to those holiday parties, ugly sweater contests, all of those things as you start to look and having the conversation with your sellers. See, you and I are going to become expert storytellers in 2026. That home valuation, that accurate pricing, everything we do is going to matter because that's dollars and time in our seller's pocket. The value, it's absolutely the eye of the beholder. And if the seller thinks their house is worth $1 million because they have every room painted a wildly different color, okay, that might have gotten by in 2022. 2026, the buyers need to see their stuff in it. Sound a little old school? Sound like something we've done in the past? It is. It's the truth. Price, terms, and timing are going to make all the difference. So understanding your seller's motivation, helping them understand the buyer's going to discern where they go, how they go, and that's going to make all the difference. But let me give you some hope. This is what we saw as we went through end of summer and into this last month. Mortgage applications continue to go up in order to buy a home. I'm really encouraged by this. We're seeing more and more people like myself. I wasn't in the market, but the right thing came along and we were able to negotiate a really good deal. I want you to think about that for your sellers. Have that conversation, share those experiences of what you're seeing, but the power of your intention is going to be critical as we go into 2026. So these are 4 tips I've got for you. First, call all your past clients. Anybody you've closed a transaction with this year, call them, thank them. Start with that gratitude and thank them for being a part of your year. Talk to them about what you're looking forward to. I really want you to use smart language. And this was what was so cool. I was in a meeting with Leo this morning, and he was sharing when he was coached by Brian Buffini. He said, we all have heard, oh, by the way, if you know of somebody thinking of buying or selling, let me know. I'd love that opportunity to help them like I did you. Well, what Leo said, and it was just the Captain Obvious hit me, be intentional with your words. We always talk about it, but he said, when I needed more listings, I always said, hey, if you're looking, if you've got a friend or family member who's thinking about selling, I'd love to be their agent. He got really specific on and asked for what he wanted. And that's going to make all the difference in the world. Now, the other thing is you look at January, I want you to set your goals right now. And I don't want you to wait. This is not about waiting for Monday to start the diet. If you are going to say, hey, I'm going to call 5 people a day, cool, tomorrow's the perfect time. Actually, how about now? There's still a little bit of time left. So set your goals for January, but do the warm up right now. Do the warm up. And this is what I want you to think of. Today, I will do what others won't. So tomorrow I can do what others can't. It's one of my favorite quotes from Jerry Rice. And when you think of it in a sports context, yeah, he was the greatest wide receiver of all time. Today I will do what others won't. So tomorrow I can do what others can't. If you and I do that with our listings, our intention as we go into January, it's going to make all the difference. Now, I'm also no fool. There's a lot going on this month. It's been a really crazy hard year. I want you to schedule your time off and be intentional about that. Truly unplug. Walk away from your phone, be present with your family, but when you're on, either with them or in your business. Don't straddle both ways. Put your phone down, go be with your family. But when you're going to work this month, I want you to dig in and use that intentional focus so you're prepped and ready for January. Don't wait, because the work you do today will actually show up in closings in January, February, and March. And I don't know about you. I like food with my meals in those months too. Thanks, guys. We'll see you very, very soon. Because always remember, the consistency you create today is the business you earn tomorrow.
Consolidations, vertical integrations, referrals. Raise your hand if you thought that the year after the commission lawsuit settlements and everything that went with that, it was going to be a little quieter. Got to be honest, we've had some industry sands shift from under our feet, and you are here at the Big Agent Meeting keeping up with it all. But if you know agents who aren't, make sure that you share this week's episode with them. But what do top agents across the U.S. and Canada and around the world respond to? How do they respond to those shifting sands? What are they saying about it? What changes are they making in their business operations, their lead generation? What are they doing right now with AI to reduce costs, amplify leverage, or even make their plans for 2026? That is what KGCI Real Estate On Air does around the clock at realestateonair.fm and on our always free Real Estate On Air mobile app for iPhone and Android. But you'll also find our best episodes, the most practical, the most actionable, the most in the moment, in the here and now, on demand, anywhere you listen to podcasts. Just search KGCI wherever you like to listen. But right after we wrap up the Big Agent Meeting over on KGCI Real Estate On Air, we are diving into this week's Friday Focus, which is all about database depth and mining old leads for new deals. It's the stuff you could build a 2026 plan around. So make sure that you stay locked in right after the Big Agent Meeting over on KGCI Real Estate On Air. Now, I remember when I first got licensed, I was told by some very well-intentioned longtime agents in my market something to the effect of, You'll start working mostly with buyers, but who you really want to work with are those sellers. And then I started working with sellers, and this funny thing happened with my expenses. Your CEO, Leo Pareja, recently broke down the solo agent blueprint with Meredith Alderson in his recent Real Estate Success Stories podcast. All of it was good. You can catch it right here at the eXp Realty YouTube channel. But here for you right now on the Big Agent Meeting was my favorite part, the part where Leo and Meredith talk about how she made that pivot from buyers to listings, took that position as that go-to expert, and that quiet part that never gets said out loud, navigating the sometimes heavy marketing costs and expenses for a listing and never charging that seller up front.
Talk to me about that journey of becoming, starting in the business, joining a team, growing a team, and as of right now, you are crushing it as a solo agent. So as we're recording this before the year's up, you're over, 40 transactions on track to do over 40 million. And one of the things that I looked up before doing this, you do more listings than buyers, which is absolutely what I tell everyone to focus on, especially in a market like this one, where, for anyone watching this in the future, this is end of 2025. Austin has had quite a bit of inventory growing. If I talk to the average agent in Austin, they don't even want to work with sellers right now. They want to work with buyers.
Yeah.
And I just spoke to 2,000 people in Vegas yesterday at an event, and I told everybody, even if it feels like that's what you want, do the opposite. Lean in on sellers, grow your inventory. It is the most important time to do that right now. So let's jump into that, because I think it's such an important part of the process to grow your business and control your schedule.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard, I will say. So I spent the first 8 years of my career. So I've been in the business 10 years. I spent the first 8 years really buyer heavy, right? Because that's how you grow your business. You get buyers.
I think that's where we have to start.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm glad I did. I mean, listen, I love working with buyers. I still like, if someone said, what's your preference? I love the experience of working with buyers and the hunt for the perfect house and the education and the tours and the time together. I love that. I love being with people. About 2 years ago, I set some very intentional goals around just wanting some of my time back, feeling like I needed more time at my desk working on my business rather than being in my car all day long, where I'd get home at night and I'd have 700 emails I'd have to work through. And I just felt like I was in this frenetic pace, and it just didn't really feel great to me. So I set some intentional goals that I was really going to focus on listings. And of course, my business is 100% referral based. So of course my buyers eventually would list, but it takes time, right? It's only been 10 years. So I decided that I wanted my business to be more 50-50 buyers and sellers. Well, I pivoted, but I pivoted basically the full other spectrum, right? So I went from 100% buyers to basically like 100% listings. And I missed the market for both of those things, meaning like, during the pandemic when it was so crazy, you wanted listings and I had all buyers. And then as the market started to turn in Austin, I was getting all listings, but buyers weren't as active because the prices were so high. We had so much inventory, still do, but I definitely am more listing heavy now, but I've really learned to lean into that because I did ask for it, and it is how I wanted my business to transition. And it does give me more time to work on my business, where I can be spending time focusing on my past clients who do feed me those referrals. And it just gives me, I feel like, a little bit more balance in my day. The seller piece, it's emotional, right? And I think one of my superpowers is the relationship that I build with people. And that happens on the buyer side too, but it's stressful in our market when you're a seller, and we have the number one buyer's market in the country right now. Sellers are stressed. Their lives are on hold waiting for us to help them sell their house to allow them to move on. And it's a huge responsibility that I don't take lightly. And so I think the most important piece for me is just making sure that I'm staying in constant communication with them. I'm helping them understand what's happening in the market. I'm educating them. I can't control the market, right? I can control how we market their property, and I can control how I communicate with them and how I make them feel, but I can't control the market. So we're doing the best we can right now.
First question there. Because I think a lot of agents get stuck there. So if you look, these are some fun stats. If you look at scaled brokerages, the largest national brokerages, there's actually almost a 60-40 split, 60% buyers, 40% listings. And I don't have the math on this, but this is what my guess is that's probably because like only 20% of agents take listings, right? And that 20% probably take 80% of the listings. And so we end up with this dichotomy of 60-40, even though it's got to be 50-50 at scale because there's 4 million, 5 million transactions, whatever the transactional count is for the year. But it's probably very close to Pareto's law, where a very few amount of the agents do almost all the listings. You went from one extreme to the other, which, by the way, I encourage people to do as soon as possible, just because it's just math. You spend about 30 hours with a seller. You spend about 87 hours with a buyer. And you normally have to go to that seller's house a couple times, not 6 months of driving all over, God, green earth. So what was step one? How did you go from I'm only like if someone's listening to this and they're an agent, they've been in the business for 3 years, they've done 30, 40 deals, and they've just never worked with a seller or have only done a couple listings, and like, how do I do that? What was it the mental steps? Was it the activity? What did you start to control in order to do that pivot?
Well, I think first of all, mindset is everything, right? Like if you believe it, it can happen. You have to allow it to happen, right? So, but you also have to be intentional about it. So, like when I said I made that intentional goal that I was going to be more of a listing agent, I put that energy out to the world and that comes back to me. That's how I feel like my business works. And I feel like you get what you give, right? And so I'm putting out there that that's what I want from my clients. And I'm also making sure that my clients see me as a listing agent, right? So that means like, how are they viewing me in the world? What's my social media saying to them? What am I saying to them when I see them in person, right? So it's really just like changing your dialogue around when people ask you, how's the market? Talk about your listings, right? So make sure that you are putting out to the world what you want people to perceive you as. Social media is a huge thing. I mean, we spend a lot of time there. We're very active in social. And so
Let's talk about that because I create a ton of content. And by the way, I
you're
didn't
doing
have
great,
a
by the way.
Thank you. But for context for people, I didn't have a Facebook account 18 months ago. I made a Facebook account when I was announced CEO because Glenn's like, I can't tag you. You need one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've been very intentional about it, but I want you to unpack that for people because it's funny when I start talking about content, people are like, oh, well, you don't count because you have support and help and a team. I'm like, no. By the way, most of it is me. And secondly, it's a story you tell yourselves. But even how you said how you talk. I sold real estate during the financial crisis, and at the same time, everyone wanted buyers too. And it was even like going to Buffini events, and it was like, modify your scripts from, oh, by the way, do you know anyone who wants to buy or sell real estate? Just, do you know anyone who sell real estate?
Yeah.
Like cut out the part you don't want, even in what you ask for to
Yep.
your past customers, your friends, the universe, whatever, however you want to put it out there. But walk us through with, I even want to know if you think about it deep enough where 70% is kind of personal anecdotal content versus 30% is, business content. Talk me how you think through that.
So, well, I have someone that helps me, so that definitely helps, right? But it didn't start that way.
I was
And I
going to say, yeah,
do
but that's where you're at today. Let's go back to
Yeah.
the
So,
vision
okay.
tree
So
of
when I
what you want to
started,
do.
I think social media is scary to start, right? Because it's like nobody's really comfortable putting themselves out there. But you do get to a point where you're just like, it's easy. You stop caring what people see. And honestly, like, I don't even watch a lot of my own content because it's like, I know it's out there. It's uncomfortable to watch myself speak on a camera, but it's more just like, being out there, being seen, being top of mind for my clients. So when I started, I laid out kind of like, okay, I'm going to post 5 times a week and I'm going to do a design feature. I'm going to do an Austin feature. I'm going to do a restaurant. I'm going to do a real estate. And so I set a schedule. And I think obviously we know with everything, consistency is key, right? You just have to do it. And so having a schedule was really helpful to me because it held me accountable to what I was going to be posting, and it helped me source content. So I would get my content ready the week before and I would just have it all ready to go. I think where people kind of get tripped up and they lose consistency is they don't plan, and two, they sorry, I lost my train of thought.
No, you're killing it. And I actually wrote something down on my phone as you said it. I was like, I need to tell my team that because the planning and the organizing and the thought process, like right now, we are actually realizing the algorithm switches and like on the posts that are words are hitting and the videos are underperforming.
Yeah.
And I was literally on with my team before we recorded this, and the videos take 10 times the effort.
Yeah.
But I said to them, I was like, we still need to lean in and do more, because it's kind of like buyers and sellers where when the algorithm switches, I'd rather have a ton of content
Yes.
already there, because all of a sudden I'll look at a post and it has like 10,000 views. I'm like, wait, I made that like 2 weeks ago, but all of a
Yeah.
sudden the algorithm picks it up and sends it out to the universe. So
Well, you're right. It's hard to keep up with that stuff, right? Like, of course, I have someone who helps me now who can look into that. But as agents, like solo agents, you don't really have time. So I would say, like, just put information out there. People are so interested in what our jobs are like day to day, right? I think there's so many people who don't work in real estate that want to know, like, what's it look like inside that house? What's your day like? So just,
because on that subject, talk about what not to do on social, because
well,
you nailed it in the sense that people are super interested. But when I see like just listed, under contract, like
yeah,
I scroll past it. And by
yeah,
the way, I love looking at real estate. 23 years in this business, and I still, when someone makes a cool video about a house, I watch it. So talk
yeah.
to me about what agents should not do.
Well, it's funny you say that because we still post like just listed under contract more for our clients,
I was gonna
right?
say,
So
but not exclusively, right?
yeah,
It's
no. Just so they can like see their house, but it is like our least performing content. Like nobody really wants to see that, right? What people do want to see is like video and content about your day. As I said, what I never do is talk about politics. I never talk about religion. I try to make as much content.
thank you for saying that. I don't think enough agents. It's like, look, I respect all of our opinions, but we're actually very public facing to a whole
Yes,
bunch of humans. You could be turning
yes,
off a potential buyer or seller with differing
absolutely.
opinions.
Absolutely. So, yeah, and I'd say, just being professional, like putting yourself out there the way you want people to see you. And that's how do you dress in your videos, right? What do you look like? Like, I'm never going to make a video in my workout clothes. Doesn't mean I'm not in my workout clothes. That's real life. But that's just not what I want people to see out there. I don't do a lot of personal stuff on my social media. I have kids. I don't know. I've just never really been sure how I feel about that. So I have my own separate personal social media, and then I have my professional.
I said it was my favorite, but all of it was good. Dive into real estate success stories anywhere you like to listen to podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and watch it right here on the eXp Realty YouTube channel. All right. If you are an agent and you know you could be doing better, but don't know where to start or what the next right thing is, much less build an entire plan for your business, I want you to write down this one thing. Graduate FastCap. Number 4 in our programs today, but number 1 in our hearts. Here's Alyssa Specht shining that spotlight on eXp University.
What's up, big agent meeting? Alyssa Specht here, back again to give you the rundown of everything going on at eXp University. And my friends, next week is absolutely stacked. We're talking about listing mastery. We're talking about outbound prospecting skills. We're talking about AI and systems that boost team production. And we've got a lot more than that. So let me give you the rundown of what you can expect next week with eXp University. Starting with Monday, we have Level Up. We are kicking off the week with true listing fire. We have Corrine DeFilippis, and she's a top producing Central Florida agent. Now, she's doing 100 mil plus in sales, and she's going to show you how to become a top listing agent in 6 months or less. So she's going to cover outbound prospecting that actually converts, and she's going to talk about what top producers' daily routine looks like. So you do not want to miss that. That is going to be on Monday on Level Up. Now let's take a look over to Tuesday. We are back with another session in the AI Accelerator series. Now, this accelerator is rolling strong. Next week, we're diving into how AI supports teams by removing chaos, not adding to it. So if you are interested in getting involved in the AI Accelerator series, make sure you go to expuniversity.com to register and find out more. Now, we're not done yet. Let's take a look over to Thursday. We have another amazing eXp Executive Masterclass. Now, this time we've got Holly Mabery. She is a Senior VP of Brokerage Ops. She's bringing you 20 plus years of industry leadership straight to your computer screen. Now, she's going to be talking about operational excellence, and leading high-performing teams, strategic growth, market expansion, all of that. My friends, if you want to lead better or at any level, this one is for you. Make sure you tune in. Again, that's Executive Masterclass on Thursday. But we are going to mosey on over and take a look over on Friday. We're back for another big agent meeting. You guys know the routine now. You bring the coffee, we bring the energy, and we bring the value. That's for sure. So every week we're delivering real strategies from top producers, innovators, thought leaders every single week. So make sure you put that on your calendar for Friday. But that's not the end of Friday. We've got one more for you. We're bringing you back with the Lab podcast. Now, we sat down with Ryan Rule. Now, he's a top producing agent. He's a team leader, and he is reshaping what modern real estate looks like. So he's going to break down how to build a client-focused, scalable business and why transparency and education drive consistent growth. Guys, if you are focused on building a business that lasts, this one's for you. So that's the wrap up. That's a little bit of what you can expect with eXp University next week. Make sure you tag your team, add that to your calendar, and I'll see you there.
Quick tip, make sure eXp University is part of your planning for next year. Best way to do that, go to expuniversity.com. That is a wrap on today's Big Agent Meeting for December 5th, 2025. I'm Ian Wheatley from KGCI Real Estate On Air. Don't forget that you can now listen live anytime inside of that all-new agent portal. Hit that radio icon on the left-hand side, and we'll see you today for our Friday focus. The team here at the Big Agent Meeting always working hard behind the scenes each week to make sure that this program is giving you what you need. Best way that they can do that is for you to actually let them know what's working and what you need. Scan the code right now on the screen and let us know how we did at the Big Agent Meeting. iConversations is coming up next.